What's up, St. Philip family? How did you react to those words of James and John in the gospel this weekend? Let's read them and you tell me, how did you react? Teacher, we want you to do for us whatever we ask of you. Teacher, we want you to do whatever we ask of you, to do for us whatever we ask of you. Whoa. When I heard that, I was like, okay, coming on pretty strong. But notice that Jesus, he doesn't rebuke them. He doesn't push them aside, or he doesn't, hey, watch your tone. He doesn't correct them. No, he says, what do you wish me to do for you? Takes them at their word. Okay, he's like, all right, what do you wish me to do for you? And then they double down. They go even stronger. They say, grant. They don't say oh, could you please do this for us? Would you mind doing this? No, grant that in your glory, we may sit one at your right and the other at your left. Grant. So how did you respond to that? For me, I was like, whoa, James and John, you're talking to Jesus like that? And we noticed that the apostles actually, they said that too. They became indignant. The word indignant is this frustration, or this annoyance, this anger at a perceived injustice. They were all like, whoa, James and John, what? How could you ask that? How could you speak like that? What are you saying? They get all upset. But here's the question. Does Jesus deny them? Or does Jesus actually honor their request? So he had to explain to them that they didn't know what they were asking. He's like, you do not understand what you're asking. Can you drink the cup that I'm to drink? Can you be baptized with the baptism that I'm to be baptized with? He realized that they asked for something that they didn't understand, but they asked him with confidence and boldness, and they approached him. And so he said, yeah, okay. You're going to drink the cup and you'll be baptized with the baptism that I'm baptized. Now, to sit on my right and left, I can't really do that, but you're going to get that. They approached him with boldness and he didn't deny them. Isn't it interesting that any time in the Gospels, anytime someone approaches Jesus with confidence, anytime they do that, they never walk away empty-handed. Think about it. Think about those times. People who approach Jesus so many times in the gospel. And sometimes, actually, if they didn't ask for what they asked for, if they weren't confident, if they weren't bold, and they didn't approach him, it would have never happened. For example, Peter. If it is you, command me to come out on the water. Command me to come out to you on the water. Jesus, if it's you, command me to walk on the water. And he walks on the water. Jesus says, come. He walks on the water. There's the woman, the hemorrhaging woman, and she breaks through the crowd. She just needs to touch the tassel of Jesus' garment. She's like, I'm going to do it. And even though she's moving through the crowd, people are pushing her away. And she grabs the tassel. She's healed. Bartimaeus, they're quieting. They're like, Bartimaeus, be quiet. Leave it. See, son of David, have pity on me. And he cried all the louder, have pity on me. What do you wish me to do for you? I want to see. And he gives him his sight. The good thief on the cross, the good thief who lives a whole life of sin and a whole life of waywardness, he's being punished for his crimes. And he says, Jesus, remember me when you enter into your kingdom. And Jesus says, today you will be with me in paradise. We have Thomas, who all of his friends say, hey, we've seen the Lord. And Thomas is like, not buying it. Nope. Unless bold, right? Audacity, the audacity of Thomas. Unless I see the nail marks in his hands and put my finger into the marks of the nails, unless I put my hand into his side, I will not believe. How does Jesus respond? The next week, he appears just for Thomas, and he says, Thomas, take your finger and place it in the nail marks of my hand. See the marks. Place your hand in my side, and no longer be unbelieving, but believe. Jesus rewards boldness. Jesus rewards confidence, even when we don't fully understand. Even when we don't fully understand. And so I started to think about that, and I'm like, maybe what I thought was my response being indignant. Who do you think you are, James and John, approaching Jesus like that? Who do you think you are talking like that with that overconfidence? Know your place, indignance. Maybe it's not being indignant. Maybe I'm insecure. maybe it's not indignance. Maybe it's insecurity. That I think I resent them. I think I'm indignant. I think they shouldn't be doing what they're doing. But what I'm actually seeing is a great boldness and confidence that I don't have. I'm looking at them and I'm like intimidated by their confidence, by their willingness to be bold, to ask Jesus for this request, to actually go up to him, to be willing to be rejected by him. But I'm so self-conscious. I'm so insecure. And I don't have their courage. I don't have their confidence. I don't have their boldness. So I think it's not indignance. I think it's insecurity. I think that's what's going on. But let's look at the second reading. What this second reading says for us. It says this: we do not have a high priest who is unable to sympathize with our weaknesses. So Jesus, the high priest, he knows our weakness. He knows our temptation. He knows our suffering. He knows what's stopping us from being bold. He knows what's getting in the way of our life. So he understands it, but without sin. So let us confidently approach the throne of grace to receive mercy and to find grace for timely help. Let us confidently approach the throne of grace to receive mercy and to find grace for timely help. I think what limits us more than anything in this life is our lack of confidence in Jesus, our lack of confidence in his grace, our lack of boldness in approaching him. It's not that we're so prideful. I mean, we are prideful. It's our pride that we don't want to look bad. We're self-conscious. We're insecure. It's this insecurity. I am afraid to go and to promise things to Jesus, to ask for Jesus. I'm afraid to be confident, but we're supposed to be confident because he knows my weakness. He knows my struggle. He knows my temptation. He knows my sin. So let us approach with confidence. Let us approach with confidence. This is the secret of the saints. You know, you take St. Therese of Lisieux. St. Therese of Lisieux, who is the little flower, right? The little flower of the little way. And she's the smallest saint. She wanted to just disappear. And she loved her littleness. She didn't want to be known, all these things. But if you read her writings, if you read what she actually said, she promised crazy things to Jesus. She asked for crazy things, huge things, big things. She was so confident in him, not in herself. She was so bold in her requests because she knew her littleness, but she knew that nothing was impossible for God. She knew that nothing was beyond his power. And she knew that he loved her. She knew his love. She knew the love of Jesus for her. She knew that she would never be denied. And so she did not back down from any huge requests because she knew she was approaching the infinite God. We are the ones who limit what God does in our life because we do not have the confidence to ask, the confidence to give ourselves. We have another example this weekend. We celebrated the North American martyrs, St. John de Brebeuf. I always do that wrong. Brebeuf, whatever it is. John de Brebeuf, Isaac Jogues, and companions, the North American martyrs. So we have this beautiful writing from John de Brebeuf, and he's in the writing, he's professing to Jesus this promise. And he says, Jesus, I've failed you in many ways. I'm in my weakness. I've failed you in many ways. But if I'm offered martyrdom, I will not back down. If I'm offered martyrdom, I will give that to you. If I'm given the chance to give my whole life, I will give my whole life gladly for you. I will lay it out. I'll let my blood be poured out. And I read that. I'm like, wow, how can you be so confident, St. John? How can you be so confident to make that promise to Jesus? Like, what if you're wrong? What if you, in the moment, you're weak and you turn away and you let Jesus down? You promised him that, and now you're bound by that promise. Like, why would you do that? The secret is that he wasn't confident in his own strength. He wasn't confident in his own power, his own ability to put the world on his shoulders. No, he was confident in Jesus and what the grace of God could do for him. He approached the throne of grace confidently, knowing that by the power of God, nothing is impossible, even to give my whole life. So he bet on it, not on himself, but on Jesus, giving him the grace to be able to do that. And he offered in freedom the willingness to accept that gift. And so our three questions for us to reflect on, and they're all based on this statement. If I were more confident in Jesus than in myself, If I were more confident in Jesus than in myself, more confident in what Jesus could do, what Jesus was capable of, what Jesus, the infinite God, was able to do in me and through me, if I was more confident in him than in myself, what would I ask of him? If I was more confident in Jesus than in myself, what would I ask of him? If I was more confident in Jesus than in myself, what would I promise him? What promises would I make to him? If it wasn't on me, if it wasn't up to my strength, what would I promise him? And if I was more confident in Jesus than in myself, what would I say yes to? What is he asking me in my life, in my career, in my marriage, in my family? What is he asking of me that I'm afraid to say yes to? I'm afraid of what will happen. I'm afraid of how I will be able to endure it or how I will be able to navigate it. Is there something that he's asking me to say yes to? But I'm not saying yes because I'm way more focused on me than I am on him. Brothers and sisters, we need to approach the throne of grace confidently, with boldness. And we know by the Gospels that anyone who approaches Jesus with confidence and boldness, even if they don't fully understand what they're asking or promising, that he does not deny them. So let's not limit what God can do. Stop thinking about ourselves. Stop being so caught up in our weakness, in our struggles, in our temptation, in our difficulty, in our abilities or inabilities. We got to get over ourselves and fix our gaze on Jesus. And if we fix our gaze on Jesus, we can walk on water. If we fix our gaze on Jesus, all things are possible. So let's approach the throne of grace with confidence.